Yuka, good to have you with us. You're starting in Japan tonight. The ongoing rice crisis there has cost the country's farm minister his job and made the ruling party even more unpopular ahead of elections there.
Well, Sharon, the minister, Taku Eto, was forced to resign amid an uproar over comments he made at the weekend. At a fundraising event, he joked that he never had to buy rice because his supporters gave him so much of it and that he had enough to sell at home. At a time when Japan is grappling with a nationwide rice shortage, the comment was seen as insensitive and out of touch. Eto apologised, and the one replacing him, Shinjiro Koizumi, vowed to resolve the ongoing crisis. Let's take a listen.
I would like to apologize again for making an inappropriate comment as the minister in charge, while the Japanese people are struggling with rice prices.
I'll put rice above all else. I consider myself the Minister for Rice and focus all my energy on tackling this issue.
So talk to us, Yuka, about just how bad this shortage actually is.
Well, Sharon, last summer saw empty shelves of this staple grain in many supermarkets. The situation improved slightly with new harvest in the autumn, but prices continued to skyrocket, doubling over the past year. To stabilise the market, the government has released more than 300,000 tonnes of rice from its emergency stockpiles that are usually reserved for disaster relief. But the extra volumes have not had meaningful impact on the prices. The former minister's remark then was the final straw for consumers struggling with rising food inflation.
It was totally wrong to say such things, not just as agriculture minister, but as a human being. It's a classic example of those in a position of power being unable to see the people down below.
The release of emergency rice stock came too late. Politicians are just too slow to act. I hope to have a minister who really tries to see what life is like for us at the moment.
So why then is Japan facing such a severe shortage of rice?
Well, there are several factors behind this. Severe droughts and heat waves affected harvest, and a post-COVID boom in tourism meant more mouths to feed. Some analysts, though, blame government policy for making the supply chain less resilient to market fluctuations. A production quota system known as gentan was introduced in the 1970s when there was an oversupply of the commodity, giving farmers financial incentives to switch to animal feed rice or other crop, and penalising those who exceeded the official production target. It was also a way to keep prices high to support farmers who had become an important voter base for the ruling party. As a result, production has been in decline for half a century, and rice paddies have decreased by around 20% just over the past decade. Now, even though the gentan policy officially ended in 2018, in practice, subsidies for alternative crops have continued. Many rice farmers are small and family-owned, with people working the fields only part-time. Many of them are struggling to find a successor. Japanese consumers prefer domestically grown rice, but some restaurants and retailers are increasingly embracing imported crop amid the ongoing shortage. Sharon.
Next, Yuka, British retailer M&S is grappling with the fallout of a cyber attack.
Yeah, Marks & Spencer has revealed that a hack dating back to April and still ongoing is set to wipe out nearly a third of annual profits, with disruptions to its services likely until at least July. Luke Traeger has the details.
A month after Britain's Marks & Spencer reported a hack on its systems, the retailer has said it will hit its profits by around £300 million, or 355 million euros, and denied that it had failed to protect itself.
Unable to get into our systems by breaking through our digital defences, the attackers did try another route, resorting to social engineering and entering through a third party rather than a system weakness. Once access was gained, they used highly sophisticated techniques as part of the attack.
The company has said it wasn't long between hackers gaining access and their detection, but the ransomware demand forced it to suspend online sales, contactless card payments in stores, and even recruiting, with disruptions set to last into July. Marks & Spencer stated last week that personal customer data had also been stolen, such as names, dates of birth, addresses and telephone numbers. Those sought to reassure shoppers that card details and account passwords were still safe.
Long term, Marks & Spencers have tried their best to deal with a crisis, and I think that the consumers are generally sympathetic towards them because Marks & Spencers is considered as a British heritage brand that consumers like, love and did trust and will trust once again.
That's likely of comfort to the retailers' bosses. They reported operating profits this week of nearly £1 billion, over €1 billion in the year to March 29th. Better than expected, according to analysts, and a sign the company was starting to emerge from years of decline.
Well, Marks & Spencer's stock fell 2.8% after that announcement. On Wall Street, the S&P had the worst day in a month as Treasury yields continued to rise. This amid concern that if Donald Trump's massive tax cuts and spending plan passed Congress, it would swell the federal debt. And that's it from the business desk.
Yuka, thanks so much for all of that. Yuka Royer there with all the day's business news. Next, our